Hi, in this video I'd like you to follow along and complete a practice homework assignment and get it submitted. First, go right here to on our front page of our Moodle site, click on the RStudio server and log in or open up your workspace. The next thing we're going to want to do is put some files up there to do the homework, and we'll do that by clicking on the Getting Started tab and go into the Practice Homework Files area, and you'll see two files in here, glucose CSV, which is a comma separated values file, which is a data file of glucose values, and then the practice homework document that contains the questions that need to be processed. So click on glucose CSV and you should have a choice of whether you want to open the file or save it. Don't ever click on open. Should I say it one more time? Don't open it, just save it to your computer and we'll move it up to RStudio. Make sure you choose Save File, and you see that it went into my Downloads folder. Do the same thing with the practice homework. Don't open it, just save it. Click on Save and it'll go into the Downloads folder. Then from within your RStudio account, go into the Files tab area and do Upload, and let's browse to my Downloads folder and let's grab the practice homework document, click on it, click Open, click OK, and you'll notice the practice homework document markdown file, our markdown file, came up to my work area. Click on Upload again, browse, because we need the glucose. Oh, notice that we have several versions of glucose in here. When there's a parentheses and a number, I've been working on this glucose file several times, and so there's like 3 copies in here. Let's just take one of them and I'll show you how to solve this copies problem. So click on one of them, glucose, click Open, OK. And you'll notice that the third version of the glucose file has arrived up in my work area. Now it's going to turn out that we don't want this parentheses and this number in the file name because it's going to confuse our instructions file. Let's open the instructions file and I'll show you what I mean. Here's the instructions practice file, and you open it, and if you scroll down to line 100 and let's see, what is that, 113, you'll notice on line 113 my homework file is trying to read in a data file called glucose CSV. And right now there isn't a file like that. Well, I have a glucose 3, but not glucose. I need to get rid of this extra set of symbols in the 3. I'm going to do that by clicking on the checkbox and do Rename. And I'm going to go into the name of that file and take out the parentheses and the 3 so that the file's called glucose. And then I'll click OK, and I've changed the name and my homework is going to work correctly now. Let's go to the top of the homework file and take a look at what's in here. You'll notice right away that part of the document has gray background and part of it's white. The gray background are code chunks. These are commands of our code to do something. Let's just take a look at problem 1 here. You will notice that the first thing from line 46 down to line 52, this is going to read in a data file out on the internet, American Association of University Professors, AAUP. It's going to be salary data for university faculty in the United States. This is a statistics command. You'll see another one right below it, line 56. This is a statistics R command that's going to summarize that data set. And this next one down here in line 65, this is going to make a histogram, a graphical display. And so gray sections are called code chunks. When you put a hashtag in front of some typing, it makes a comment and it won't try to execute anything. Say in line 48, it won't execute this. But line 51 is an executable R command for reading in data. In the white area, you'll see that there's a place where you could type your first name and your last name. Let's go and change that. Let's have your first name. Let's type in John, since that's my first name, and I'll put in my last name right here, and it's Anderson, and that'll put my name on my homework assignment. I'm going to have a heading here. These triple hashes mean I'm going to have a heading called problem 1, and that's probably good enough for now. Up on the top of this file, lines 10 to 14 are packages that we've installed previously. If you haven't watched the video that installs packages, you should go back and do that so you know how to install a package. And this is going to be using code that we need to execute this homework assignment. So before we do too much else, let's process this homework assignment by clicking on the knit HTML button. You'll notice right now that my document name is red with a star. That means I've made changes. If I want to save my changes, I can click right here on the Save button. And then when I do that, you'll notice that the date that this file has been modified will change. I'll click on Save, and you'll notice that file has changed. Then we're going to click on Knit, and a bunch of processing down here in the R Markdown console window is going to happen, and a processed homework file appears. You'll notice that the name has been changed to John Anderson. I've loaded in the AAUP dataset, and here is a histogram of assistant professor salaries, and my code chunk made this graph. You'll notice that the next question after making the graph says, describe this distribution's shape. Use terms and descriptive verbs provided in class. So one task you would want to do in this practice homework is write a written description of the shape of this histogram. And you can't type your description in the display window of the processed results. You have to minimize or close this display and go back into the instructions document to do your typing. So notice right here it said make a histogram of assistant professor salary values, describe the shape, use terms and descriptive words provided in class. And it says right here in line 69, type your answer. And so line 65 made that histogram. I've looked at it, and I'm going to type a description right here in line 69, and I'll say the distribution shape looks lumpy. Now that's not a very good description. We'll never use words like that in our class, but I just want to demonstrate for you what you could type. And then if you process your file again, knit it again, you will see that that description will now appear next to answering 1A. It's almost finished processing. And right below the histogram it says the distribution shape looks lumpy. And that's how you can type answers into your homework file. And you'll notice that in here you can see the commands that were executed. You can see some of the summary descriptive statistics values that came with it, and you'll learn in the class about what those are and what they mean. If you scroll down, you get some more graphical displays like box plots. And then if you go to the very bottom, you'll see in problem 3 that I opened a data file that was in the Open Intro package. It's a built-in part of the Open Intro package on infant mortality rate. It's a data set called INF Mort Rate, and it gives infant mortality rates in a bunch of countries. If you scroll down a little bit farther, you'll see problem 4 is a problem about normal distributions, bell-shaped distributions that we haven't talked about yet, and it'll be a couple of weeks before we do. But I want you to see in here that I've got some Greek letters, the Greek letter mu, the Greek letter sigma, and if you look at your markdown file down on problem 4, roughly down here on line 148, you'll notice that there is a red dollar sign and an ending red dollar sign, and inside is the slash symbol mu equaling 36.7. And that is the instructions for producing the Greek letter mu in your processed homework file. Another thing to notice inside the instructions file on line 160 is you'll notice there's some coding in here, backtick, R, and then a phrase, my answer, and backtick. And inside this code block in line 158 and 157, I defined a computing expression to put the value my answer. And I'm not going to tell you about what all this is, you'll learn it in the course, but I've created a numeric answer in my code block, and if I want to display it in my written document, I just use this backtick construction. And if you look at the processed file, you'll notice that it appears right here and has value 37.289. That came into my processed homework because I put the instructions and has value R backtick my answer. So it's a way to put answers automatically in your homework document. So let's say we're done and we want to submit this homework file. Well, what you need to do is go over here to your files area, and you'll notice there's a new file that's in here. It's an HTML, which means web page. And this is the file you want to submit to me for homework. You do not want to submit the commands file, the RMD file. Let me make that clear. I don't want the RMD file. I want the HTML file. How do you submit it? Well, the first thing you have to do is get this HTML file to your home working desktop computer or your laptop that you're working on. Click on the checkbox, go to the More wheel, and choose Export, and then download that file. We don't want to open it, we want to save it. And so save that file to your downloads folder. And then back in Moodle, go to the Getting Started tab and click on Practice Homework Submission Link. It's under the Getting Started tab, Practice Homework Submission Link. Open it up, and you'll see there's a blue button there for Add Submission. And you will find a text area for you to drag your file. I'm going to go to the downloads right here, and I have my practice homework HTML file that I'll drag to that area, and I've submitted it now. I'll save my changes, and you will notice that my homework has been submitted and you're finished. If you ever want to go back and change your homework and make updates or whatever, you can always click on Edit Your Submission, and it'll open that folder, and you can click on the file and delete it, and you can get rid of the file that you would have submitted. So you can always get rid of a version of your homework if you want to update it. You can always get rid of one up till the due date. After the due date, I won't let you edit the section, but before the due date and time, you can always edit and save changes and add new versions of your homework. And then you can go back to the Getting Started tab, and you'll notice that the homework has been submitted. I will be opening your homework to see that it is your practice homework so that I can see that it's been properly submitted and it's properly constructed, but I don't really care about your answers. Just answer one or two things so that you get the idea about how to answer and change text, and then submit it. I won't be grading what you've typed in there. Let me know if you have questions.